The story of the United States isn't just written in laws or fought on battlefields. It's etched into our minds through the power of the spoken word. American history is filled with moments where one person, standing before a crowd, completely redefined what it meant to be a nation. To truly understand America today, we have to listen to the echoes of those who dared to imagine a future that didn't exist yet. Let's travel back to March 1775. Before the United States was a country, it was just a dangerous idea, a flickering flame. At the Second Virginia Convention, Patrick Henry delivered a speech that built a bridge between colonial loyalty and revolutionary defiance. His final words, "Give me liberty or give me death," weren't just a catchy phrase. At that time, many colonists were still on the fence about breaking away from Britain. Henry's speech eliminated the middle ground. He framed the fight not as a political argument over taxes, but as an existential struggle for the soul. By pitting liberty against a metaphorical death of the spirit, he fired up the militia and paved the way for the Declaration of Independence. Now, fast forward to 1863. The nation was broken, physically and spiritually, by the Civil War. President Abraham Lincoln was invited to say a few appropriate remarks at the dedication of a military cemetery. In just 272 words, Lincoln performed what you could call rhetorical surgery on the country. He didn't even mention the word slavery or the South. Instead, he reached back to the Declaration of Independence, reminding everyone that the nation was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. He completely shifted the purpose of the war. It was no longer just about preserving territory. It was about a new birth of freedom. He gave the horrific loss of life a higher, almost divine purpose, to ensure that a government of by and for the people would not perish from the earth. The Gettysburg Address is so deeply woven into the American identity that it is almost impossible to imagine the country without it. 100 years later, the promise of equality Lincoln spoke of was still a dream deferred. On a sweltering August day in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. The I Have a Dream speech is a masterclass in how words can transform a nation. Dr. King brilliantly wove together the American dream, Christian faith, and constitutional rights into one powerful message. His genius was in using America as sewn founding documents as a promissory note, a check that had come back marked insufficient funds. Using the powerful, repetitive rhythm of a preacher, he painted a picture of the future so clear, so vivid, that it became the moral standard for the modern world. A future where children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This speech didn't just help pass the Civil Rights Act, it gave America a new conscience. But progress isn't always about social justice. Sometimes it's about pushing the physical limits of what humanity can achieve. In September 1962, the Cold War was raging, and the Soviet Union was winning the space race. The world felt small and scared. President John F. Kennedy stood at Rice University and made a bold declaration: "We choose to go to the moon." He didn't frame this mission as a military necessity. Instead, he presented it as a test of America's character. He famously said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard." This single speech turned a scientific project into a grand, romantic adventure. It ignited a technological revolution that ultimately gave birth to the digital world we live in today. Kennedy used words to expand the American horizon, literally aiming for the stars. And we can't talk about transformative words without mentioning Eleanor Roosevelt. Though she delivered her most famous speech on human rights at the United Nations in 19, her advocacy fundamentally reshaped America's view of itself and the world. She championed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, arguing that universal rights begin in small places, close to home. Her powerful oratory helped shift the global focus toward the inherent dignity of every individual. She provided the moral and philosophical framework for countless social movements that followed, from women's rights to LGBTQ advocacy. She taught us that true progress means ensuring justice and dignity for every single person. So, what do all these moments teach us? These speeches are proof that while laws can change our behavior, it's powerful words that change our hearts. From Patrick Henry's fire for revolution to JFK's ambition to reach the cosmos. The American story is one of constant reinvention, all powered by speech. These incredible orators took the raw emotions of their time: hope, anger, fear, and idealism, and molded them into a national identity that is always growing, always becoming something new. In our modern age, filled with the constant noise of social media and endless digital distractions, the echoes of these landmark speeches are more important than ever. They remind us that a single voice, grounded in truth and elevated by the art of rhetoric, still holds the incredible power to change the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the ideas that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.